Persian War was between Greece and the people of Persia, and the win by Greece helped the Greeks maintain their civilization. After the Peloponnesian War, there was a period of reforms led by Solon. During this time, worshippers gave many statues to the Acropolis as a dedication. Acropolis is a primary sanctuary located in Athens. The act of giving statues to the gods is known as anathema in Greek religion. The statues include archaic marble called chori, which are documents mostly used in the study of Athenian history. After offering of thanks to the gods, the people of Greece would carve statues and place them in buildings of worship. Some of these statues resembled the gods they were being offered to. Others had no distinct form in mind. Many were crafted from marble, but others were shaped from bronze. The sculptors of these objects either engraved the name of the gods that was being offered the tribute, a signature of their own name, or both. This became such a popular practice that by the time of the Hellenistic period, sanctuaries all over, and especially the Acropolis, were subject to overcrowding thanks to the multitude of statues that filled them with limited space for the new ones. Perserschutt is the name given to the site where the majority of uncontaminated, destroyed debris was found in multiple excavations, including one led by Panagiotis Cavadius starting in 1885. The Perserschutt consists of only objects that were destroyed by Persians during their invasion, making it easy to pinpoint the exact time the remaining pieces of sculptures were made, which is one of the hardest things to do when it comes to archaeology. Athenians used this collection of deposits to discard the bulk of their pieces that were brought to ruin after the Persians ransacked the Acropolis. Each piece was either given a special burial or reused for resources. Once the Acropolis had been cleaned of its debris, the Athenians began to rebuild from scratch and create their art once more. Transitioning from the aftermath of the war, a new period gave birth to the new style of art known as the severe style. It is also known as the early classical style. Unlike in the past where Greek art was garnished with multiple patterns and many details, the severe style's goal was to use less elements, artists working as though in process of elimination. This style differs from the previous by giving human figures fuller faces, such as through heavier chins and thicker eyelids, putting more emphasis on the movement and emotions, and favoring bronze as the medium of choice. At the Acropolis, there also existed the Six Sisters, who had fires which signified war blazing around them. The statues have bodies covered with bombs and bullets and are seemingly scared. The Six Sisters were avatars made bronze and ivory, but Britons kidnapped one of the statues during the 19th century. The missing statue is one of the biggest attractions at the British Museum in London. The statue has sparked diplomacy wars between Greece and Great Britain in the recent history. These six statues have a traditional common name as they are referred to as Caryatids, and the Greeks have been using them to demonstrate their case. The Greeks are currently reviving the traditional use of the Caryatids to decorate their buildings. On the outside, they are used as facades, and the interior of the building, they decorate areas near the fireplaces. There are also some male statues called chori. An example is the calf bearer, which consists of a calf bound together with a man. The calf lies on the man's shoulder comfortably and faces the viewer. This statue was built as an offering to Athena. It also goes by the Greek name of Moschophoros. It was discovered alongside the Kritos boy in the Perserschutt deposit. The Critios boy was located in an area southeast of the Parthenon, in an area where the other statues that were found represented a mix of archaic and classical style, making it impossible to properly date his creation. The Critios boy's pose is iconic of the classical style, being a brooding figure. Said to be a precursor of sculptures from the classical period, as the anatomy of his figure is subtly dynamic. His muscles and skeleton are sculpted in a way that mimics the way bodies more in real life, which are traits that also set it apart from the archaic period. The tilt and dips in his hips and shoulders help create the impression of weight shift as well. It is believed that the statue's head probably does not belong with the rest. It was found separately from the later than the torso and was joined with the body prematurely. Engelitos's Athena was a member of multiple similarly styled Athenas that also served as dedicated pieces. Said to be dedicated shortly after the Persian attack, she represents the shift from small and marble pieces to large and bronze ones, reflecting the change between archaic and early classical styles. The way she is poised harbors a resemblance to a missing piece belonging to the sculptor Critios. Her pose also prompted a change in the way her clothes were sculpted, displaying a peplos instead of imitation in chiton, a characteristic in early classical sculpture. Blonde Boy was another freestanding marble statue excavated from the Acropolis. It resembles the famous Critios Boy sculpture but has a reminiscent yellow paint on the hair, hence the name Blonde Boy. It was created using the severe style, as the facial features such as the eyelids, nose, and hair are masterfully sculpted to be bold and prominent. It was dated to the late Archaic period. The head of a woman, a nameless and unidentifiable piece also found at the Acropolis and studied in 1890, is notable for the holes adorning her back and the traces of paint among her surfaces. These telltale details point to the statue being a piece that was either refurbished after the war, or it is a replica of a piece that was made before the war even occurred. What sets her apart from other sculptures, however, is how many traits of the severe style she contains. Her eyelids are of a thicker variety, and there's more care put into her shape of her eyes, which is very similar to the style of the Blonde Boy. The Angelitos Athena is currently the earliest artistic depiction of the goddess Athena. It was sculpted out of marble through a combination of classical Greek and archaic sculpting techniques. The Athena Promachos, on the other hand, was sculpted out of a bronze in a neat classical artistic Greek technique. It was bold and projected the true spirit of Athena as the goddess of war. The biggest reason the Persian sack of the Acropolis is such a defining moment in Greek history is because it serves as a dividing line between when the Archaic period ended and the early Classical or Severe period began. All the pieces found in the Perserschutt appear to have been disposed of during a peacetime ritual. In this ceremony, the heads of statues and statuettes would be cut off, the bodies melted down for another use, and heads buried beneath sanctuaries, and especially the Acropolis. Persians wouldn't have left so much bronze behind when it could have been used to make and repair their weapons, and they especially wouldn't have buried perfectly good materials in the first place. The Persians were also known for stealing artifacts that were sacred to their enemies, so leaving behind anything would be hard to comprehend. This provides a possible reason as to why so many statue fragments and pieces were found beneath the Acropolis, along with the fact that the Blonde Boy and Critios Boy were found just as heads and have explicit damage done to their necks. The fact that this is a practice that takes place in peacetime would not only explain why these pieces were found with just their heads, but also makes their creation date easier to determine.